Back in 2011, Duke Nukem Forever was finally released after 14 years of development hell. Now while I didn't play it myself at the time, I remember the gaming media and people on YouTube absolutely shredding it to pieces critically and in some cases being incredibly disappointed by what it was. Props to PC Gamer US though. You see, the game was announced in 1997, a year after Duke Nukem 3D came out. Over the years, fans would see updates about it, but there was a little problem. Every time a new trailer came out for the game, it looked different. In 1998, it was shown running on the Quake 2 engine. In 1999, now it was running on the Unreal 1 engine. There were even rumors that by the mid-2000s, they had shifted the game to the Doom 3 engine before finally settling on the Unreal 1 engine again? So after double checking this fact, the whole thing is just built on top of a mess of an engine. Like it uses a file structure similar to the first Unreal engine, but it also incorporated new features and technologies from later Unreal engines. Like I don't know man. Some fans say that they should have just finished and released one of these late 90s or early 2000s version of the game. On the surface, it looked like a fantastic game way ahead of its time, and if it were released at the time, it would have been a Hall of Famer today like other games like Half-Life 2 or Halo. But the absolute hellish development of the game resulted in a product that was disappointing at best. Recently, there were even leaks of the early versions of DNF. This is what I originally wanted to talk about, but then I realized apart from playing Duke 3D and Manhattan Project, I don't really have a lot of experience with Duke Nukem games, so I'll leave the DNF beta analysis videos to the hardcore Duke Nukem fans. So in today's video, I'll be going over the entirety of the final game that came out in 2011. Is it as bad as people made it out to be, or did it actually have something worthwhile in it? The game immediately starts off with a callback to the first game.
Those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Great games usually start off in iconic locations, you know, City 17 train station, the Pillar of Autumn, the graveyard, Black Mesa. DNF comes out of left field and starts in a bathroom. I know people hated this, but I find it funny in a way, like a game starting off with Duke taking a leak in the bathroom. And yeah, I know you can pick up Dukey in this game, but let's move on.
Alright, step 1, Alpha Team straight up the middle. Blake, flank left. Phillips and I head around. That's step 2. Step 3 is,
Prophet?
Right! You ready? 1, 2, break!
Next we come across some Earth Defense Forces soldiers and a whiteboard. Take that, Half-Life Alyx, Duke did it first! Albeit in a very janky way.
Oh man, that is... I mean, I don't understand any of it, but I bet if I did, that guy over there would still have his arm. And at least one of his balls.
Yeah, the humor in Duke Nukem Forever is a mixed bag. Sometimes the jokes are actually funny, and sometimes they make you go, huh? After a linear path to an elevator where we pick up a Devastator, it kicks off the final boss fight from Duke 3D with the Cycloid Emperor. Here he's just called Cycloid for some reason. This was a very boring boss fight, to be honest. Just dodge the rockets and shoot back, repeat it 3 times and the alien dies. This is basically foreshadowing for the combat across the game, which I'll talk about as we go on. You know, for a 2011 game, the visuals aren't that bad. I mean, some aspects like lack of saturation, high contrast, and Vaseline-smeared blur looks off, but the Unreal Engine monstrosity running this game still holds up quite well. Sure, it had to compete with games like, let's see here, Skyrim, Arkham City, Portal 2, Uncharted 3, Modern Warfare 3, Dead Space 2, Battlefield 3. Okay, I get why people call this game's graphics dated now, but with a roster like that, I think the graphics so far do the bare minimum to stand toe-to-toe with those games. But even if you're okay with the graphics, there's a jarring issue that I can't really explain in proper words. It's the lighting. I'll try to explain these lighting issues as we go on and show you what they are, but I feel like a lot of the game has such a weird angle and type of lighting it makes a lot of things difficult to see. Like some characters' face is strangely lit, the enemies are indistinguishable from each other due to the lighting, and you can only see them as silhouettes. And overall, some maps' lighting is just irritating to the eyes. I think there's not a whole lot of ambient lighting in the maps, and the high contrast makes the lighting very sharp and the shadows very dark. Then Duke does the classic gold kick with the Cycloid's eyeball and the DNF logo appears on screen. Turns out Duke was playing a game and whoa. Was Duke getting a Sloppenheimer just now? Mary Wholesome? Kate Wholesome? Is this supposed to be a parody of Mary Kate Olsen? Yeah, see, this is the joke where you go, huh? On the TV, the news tells us aliens are back again but aren't doing anything. They're just in a spaceship chilling over Las Vegas, right next to Duke's casino.
I don't know. It all still sounds pretty scary. I can see the ships from here. I wonder if it's the same aliens you had to fight 12 years ago. Of course they are, silly. Why do you think they came back? It's because Duke lives here, hello.
Going into the bathroom and just looking into the mirror increases our max HP. Taking a leak also increases our max HP. Oh sorry, HP, I mean ego. Yeah, you don't lose health and die in this, you lose ego and die. Oh yeah, do you think something's missing here? I don't know, something that a lot of other FPS games have? You know, something that even Duke 3D had. Yeah, there's no armor in this game, and it's not like the ego bar compensates for it. Oh no, it tries to do this Halo-style shield thing that just feels half-assed and wonky. I really like this scene of this Titanic-sized alien mothership just hovering over the city. Too bad the glass is too blurry to see it better.
Oh. I'm scared of the dark. Hold me. No, hold me.
I like this interactivity though. This element of interacting with the environment was a big part in Duke 3D and would have been even further refined in this game, but in the retail release it's just scaled back to using buttons and slot machines and vending machines. This is the jankiest shit ever, like look at this. So we're making our way to the studio cause we're gonna be on some late night show, but the news update tells us that aliens have descended down from the mothership, but still, nobody's doing anything.
Hi there. You're even better looking in person. After the show, I want your autograph somewhere special.
Okay, let's just move on, and holy shit, that kid looks like he's 30. He looks older than his dad. In the studio, the Conan O'Brien / Jay Leno parody tells us that the show is cancelled because of the aliens. Guess we need to go check what's going on. Then we come across these two.
Hey, I'm trying to do a scene with Johnny on the show, and there you are wandering through the set. You never stop to wonder if it might be distracting with you walking through. Do you want me to trash your mics? Would you like me to trash your mics? You don't fucking get it. The scene's done. Now, the rest of the crew left for Duke Burger, and my moment with Johnny is over. Get it? Fuck!
Oh, thanks, Duke. That guy was a douche.
I don't know what this had anything to do with anything, but let me tell you, this was the most satisfying bit I've ever seen in a video game. Then once again we follow a linear set of corridors to reach the elevator. Basically, we need to get to the observatory and then get to the quote-unquote Duke Cave. The aliens start to climb Duke's casino as we can see through the elevator. We get off on the museum that Duke has, which is basically a bunch of callbacks to Duke 3D. This dude here doesn't get off the chair if we don't take a picture of his, like there's an alien invasion about to happen and this dude only cares for a goddamn picture.
Hey, could you hit that picture button over there? Thanks, man! I can't wait to check my...
Somehow, Duke has a Duke Cave in his 69 floors casino. Yes, the casino has 69 floors because why not? So, the president tells us not to engage with the aliens in any case because he's like doing diplomacy and shit with them, and this General Graves, says just go along with whatever the president's saying. And then the aliens invade the Duke Cave. And so, proper combat with Duke's fists.
Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
No, Duke, you don't have a gun yet. I mean, I get it that the game is showing us that Duke wasn't prepared for an alien invasion, but come on, man, for someone who has this big of an ego, wouldn't you think he would at least have some sort of gun on him for emergency cases? Then we do some vent crawling and pop open a cold one, which increases our defenses. After bashing a bunch of aliens with Duke's mighty fists, the power goes out and we have to use the Duke vision, which is the night vision. And ew! I mean ew! I hate this. I'm fine with the blue color and the light, but I just don't like this distortion and scanline stuff. So now again, we beat up aliens, but in the dark. I'm not gonna lie, I expected the game to give me a gun and set me loose on the aliens. What I wasn't expecting was to go through Doom 3-like UAC corridors in the dark and beat up aliens with my fists. Of course, we do get a weapon, but it's this alien rifle and it's a slow 3-burst laser weapon and I really don't like using it. Now here we need 3 energy cells to bring the power back. We find 2 just laying around, but the third one is locked behind a door in a storage room. It's very convenient that there's a RC truck inside and its remote is outside. Now this is good. Yes, the RC truck does control like absolute garbage, but I feel like this is a very innovative way to acquire a key item. So when the power's back, the game then teaches us about steroids. Beer makes your defenses high, so steroids make your melee deal more damage. It's like the Berserker power-up from Doom, but not as fun to use. Then we finally get a proper weapon, a very fancy looking Colt M1911. It sounds very impactful and the animations are decent, but when I started using this to kill aliens, I realized something. Since I started playing the game, or at least when I got the alien rifle, I felt like there was a lack of impact visually. While the sounds of each of the weapons do get the point across, visually it feels very strange, you know? Like, the ragdolls are just weird for the enemies. Sometimes they will slowly fall to the ground backwards, or they will just stay in place and slowly fall to the ground. And at this point I had realized that the gunplay in this game is very mediocre. A very essential part of any FPS, and it was just okay. And it didn't help that I have to wait a century for Duke to switch between weapons, and the worst part is, I don't even know what the next weapon I'm switching to is. A simple weapon selector would have gone a long way, but because I enabled the expanded inventory option, which allows me to have 4 weapons instead of 2, it just feels weird to keep cycling till I finally get the weapon I want. And seriously? 2 weapons? Like, that's the default way to play the game. Are you shitting me? For a dude who could carry 9 different weapons in his last major game, this sure feels like a fucking downgrade. Now we get on a turret and head to the rooftop where we have to destroy the mothership while shooting down the smaller alien aircrafts. This would be an average turret section had there not have been a temperature element to it. The turret overheats if you shoot it too much, and this sometimes allows the smaller alien aircrafts to get a hit on you, and if they do it twice consecutively, it's death for Duke. Would have been nice if the temperature didn't rise as fast as it does, to be honest, and this whole boss fight feels kinda cool, but it feels strange as well, like the game started off with the boss fight, which was like the final boss of the original campaign in Duke 3D, then here's another absolutely massive boss fight, and in between there's not a whole lot. Like, a turret section with just these aircraft would have been fine, but taking out the aliens' mothership, their biggest asset right away in the beginning, is a bit too much, isn't it? Like there's no build up or anything. Then we wake up 4 hours later and go into the vents. We see a man and a woman panicking, and then we see those twins from the beginning filming a video? When there's a literal alien invasion going on, people are really messed up in the Duke universe. Then we come out of the vents and see a woman panicking because the lift is about to fall down. It then does this really intense scene with her screaming and us trying to stop the lift manually by pulling the brakes. And I'm not gonna lie, the voice actress did a really good job here.
Pull it again! Go on, pull it! We're still falling! Pull it again!
But then...
We're still falling!
What?
Oh my god! Duke, thank you. I'll go down with you anytime.
Okay. We get out of the lift and immediately get shrunken down. Now I noticed something here. There hasn't been a single level so far that's, you know, a normal level. Every level has a gimmick. Fight a boss. Fist fight aliens in the dark. Fight another boss on a turret. Now get shrunked. No level where we just have a bunch of weapons and fight a bunch of enemies in good old FPS fashion. Then it hits us with the driving section. We see a little kid and he gives us his RC toy. This driving section ain't no water hazard, let me tell you that much. If water hazard was like a smooth carnival ride, then this is as rough as sitting butt naked on a cactus. Like the RC from before, this one also controls very stiff. While the map is somewhat designed in a way that naturally flows and guides the player, there are definitely points where you get stuck and have to stop and look around and figure out where to go next. We go through a bunch of different parts of the casino and even stopping in one spot to open up the gate to let the car through. I did like this shrunken POV of the map though, reminded me of those old rat maps for Counter-Strike, you know the ones. This really is like Water Hazard and Highway 17. No, it's not. It's really not. So there's a point where we crash land the RC car and meet up with the random EDF soldier. Now we have to open up this gate, and to do that we push this cart so we can stand on top of it and press the button. I like little charming moments like these, but unfortunately there are very far and few between. We get back to normal size and finally get our hands on the shotgun. Oh, and the twins are here too. Then I waited a bit till aliens started pouring in through portals. This goes on for a while, and when it's over, this happens.
Amazing, Duke.
Yeah, Duke, you totally beat their asses.
Oh my god. I was like so scared.
Me too. I'm so glad you're okay.
Alright, time for my reward.
Then two aliens come in and kidnap both the twins, making Duke very, very angry.
Not my babes! Not in my town! You alien motherfuckers are gonna pay for this!
I think it's a given, but I'll say it out loud too. John St. John does an amazing job as Duke's voice actor. His lines were iconic in Duke 3D, and his lines are iconic here too, but not all of them. Some of the writing is a little... meh. Now you would expect Duke to move on, like to the next level or the next section, right? But guess what? We're going all the way back, baby! All those places we just gone through in the RC, we're gonna go through all of that on foot now. This backtracking isn't that bad though, it's kind of fun. But I was really hoping that I would see a new part of the casino instead. It then does the same formula multiple times. You get to a room, you get locked in, you shoot a bunch of aliens, then you go to the next room and then you repeat the whole process again. Now the shotgun looks like the classic shotgun from Duke 3D, and it's actually pretty fun to use. It doesn't have a lot of range, but when you use it up close, it's satisfying to see the enemy fly away when you blast them. Also, the game has executions which fully restores Duke ego. You do these if you damage the enemy enough to stun them. Then comes this platforming part where you have to move the Duke statue in a way so that you can climb on top of it and get to the upper floor. I like this. This kind of interaction with the world is nice. We find out from this soldier that General Graves is here to meet us outside, so we go through some vents, blow up some trip mines and fire extinguishers, then we get to the main lobby of the casino, and then we get in a fight with this flying fat bastard. It wasn't too hard though. General Graves tells us that he thinks the president might be a little sus because he kept saying not to fight the aliens. Also, the aliens blew up Hoover Dam and kidnapped all the women. So of course, Duke is very much focused on getting those women back. So to the Duke Dome we go with our pal Captain Dillon. I have no fucking idea who this guy is, but he's one hell of a character, saying more F-bombs than any character in the whole game. And I'm not joking, that's an actual trivia. Then this happens.
Duke, we've got your green power armor over here and ready to go.
Power armor is for pussies.
Well, okay. You want a gun instead?
Now, poking fun of other games has always been a thing in Duke Nukem games. It's nothing new. But I realized something. 5 Halo games came out while Duke Nukem Forever was in development. Think about it. 5 major Halo games came out while DNF was still being made. To give you an even deeper perspective, I was 2 when this game was announced, and I was 16 when this game released. Holy shit! Anyway, now we get the Ripper, a classic weapon from Duke 3D, and yeah, it pretty much functions the same way but sounds much beefier now. Its reload animation is kind of fast and weird though, but it's alright.
Squeal.
The Ripper's range is a little better than the shotgun, so it's good to use in long-range combat. So Dylan asks a soldier, this one, to accompany us the rest of the way, and right after these stairs, he fucking dies. I don't know why, but this genuinely made me laugh. Like, what? I felt bad for the guy. Now here's where I realized I was wrong about the combat in this game. It's not mediocre, it's actually dog shit. If more than 2 or 3 enemies gang up on you, you're done. The TTK, the time to kill, is vastly different between the enemies and the players. It takes more time to kill them than for them to kill you. Oh, and from this point on, expect to hear this sound a lot.
Douche.
I mean a lot. It starts playing when your ego bar is at 0, but the ego bar being 0 doesn't matter because you still have a significant amount of health left before you die. So anytime you take a bunch of damage, you'll hear this.
Douche.
Fellatio. Next I found this RPG which we'll be using on this overlord. Now bosses can only be damaged by explosives, right? I whip out the RPG and realize how fucking slow it is. Like you have to wait for it to lock on and then you can fire. This allows the boss to literally take away all your health while you wait to shoot the next rocket. And yeah, I'm calling it health now. I'm not gonna call it ego anymore. Fuck you, Randy Pitchford. Then we do an execution where we slam the overlord's horn into his eye, which is badass, and then punch his balls? Okay, you gotta admit this is funny as hell. Tell me one other game where you can punch a giant alien's nutsack like this. This game follows what I personally like to call the Serious Sam method of gameplay. It might be featured in other games too, but I know it from Serious Sam. So that method is, you go to a new section of a map, get locked in, kill a bunch of enemies, and then are allowed to move on. And it repeats again. I don't have any issues with the Serious Sam method, but that's Serious Sam. That game did it very well. This is supposed to be Duke Nukem. One of the best things I liked about Duke 3D was its maps. They were open, you were free to roam around wherever you want, discover secrets, new areas and shit. DNF literally does the opposite and tries to be Call of Duty, where it will want you to be restricted to a certain area, and after you kill a bunch of enemies, then you're allowed to move to the next area. This is one of the worst things this game does throughout its campaign and justifiably got a lot of hate for. And here is where I kinda realized, the graphics, which I also thought were okay, are actually dog shit as well. Where are the colors, the saturation, the art style? I read somewhere if you turn off the post-processing effects, the game instantly becomes better, and holy shit, it actually made it more vibrant and removed that goddamn depth of field blur that looks like ass. Another thing I noticed was how messed up the environment lighting was because of this sideways bullshit lighting. One half of the map is covered in shadows and you can't literally see what the enemy looks like. Like, look at this for example, what am I shooting at? Anyway, we get on a container in a construction site, but then a fat bastard shoots the crane operator, so now the crane's moving around randomly while we shoot down a bunch of aliens.
It's all in the reflexes.
Next we get introduced to the railgun, which has a very weird roundy view model, like it's a futuristic looking gun with a normal looking scope on top. It's fun to use though since it one-shots most of the common enemies. Here's that bullshit I was talking about where you immediately die if you get ganged up by the enemies. This basically means you have to make sure all of the enemies are in front of you, you have cover, and you take them down immediately before they land any shots on you. It's strange sometimes that the combat is okay where there are a lot of enemies, but the way they are placed makes it an equal challenge. Other times they come out of nowhere and blast you to death. On another note, I did like this ruined version of Las Vegas, especially that Duke Burger Tower with the tentacles going up around it. Oh, also, I turned back on the post-processing effects, because that's how Randy Pitchford wanted me to play this game, so now you and I both suffer together. Like, look at this, who wouldn't want a game with the player having Vaseline smeared across their eyes? So we're slowly but surely making our way to the Duke Dome to save the women the aliens kidnapped. This right here is a physics puzzle. What you have to do is get all these barrels and put them in this container so it goes down and you can climb on top of it. And you know, for someone who benches 600 pounds, Duke's throw is weak as hell. But yeah, physics puzzle in Duke Nukem Forever. Amazing. Next we come to another construction site and we see the aliens taking away the wholesome twins on jetpacks, so obviously we need to go after them. We can use the crane to get inside, but of course we need a battery to power it up first. The battery is in one of the incomplete structures, so we grab that and get into a firefight with a gunship, so alright, so far so good, nothing too bad. I plant the battery in, get on the crane, press right to build momentum, and then press left. Because you know, it has this wrecking ball on it, so obviously we need to smash it against the wall. And nothing happens. I was stuck in this place for so goddamn long because I thought if I'm not supposed to use the wrecking ball, maybe I use the long head of the crane to get on top of the building, but nope. So of course I wasted around half an hour trying to figure out what the fuck I was supposed to do, and even died in the process because of fall damage. Turns out, you are supposed to use the wrecking ball, but in a very, very specific way. You have to raise it all the way up so it can go much farther to the right and then smash it to the left. Randy Pitchford, what the fuck? Alright, let's go in, and of course as we do, we fall down in the caves. The Hive. This fucking chapter. Okay, as an environment, like visually, it actually looks pretty decent in some spots, like it gives off the scary underground alien vibes, and I really liked that. But in some cases its layout were so confusing that I couldn't navigate it, even with my Duke vision on. Some of the highlights of this chapter are these roller bugs that you can shoot and roll into these pockets in the wall to open doors, these flying squids that I absolutely hate. They sound horrifying though.
Come get some.
Duke tickling the doors to open them, and women that were captured and they were inserted with alien goo to give birth to more aliens. Yeah, they're fully modeled, fully nude, and you can do nothing to save them, which is kind of sad to be honest. Like, you have to mercy kill them, and even Duke gets sad when he does it.
She wasn't human anymore.
I do remember in one version of Duke 3D you could save them. Like, I faintly have the memory of the player being able to help the trapped women, but I don't know, maybe it's my faulty memory. The reason why I'm highlighting most of this chapter is because this is pretty much all you do. Shoot flying squids, mercy kill trapped women, and use the roller bugs to open doors. There's nothing too special about this chapter apart from the sometimes good looking environment and the shock value of killing trapped women. Oh, and those twins from the beginning? Yeah, it's too late for them too. They both explode and aliens pop out of them. Jesus fucking Christ. In summary, I was more frustrated than happy after finishing these levels. Main reason being it's just not fun for the most part. It's too dark, some of the environment puzzles are just easy to misunderstand, and it's just a whole lot of repetition. After going through all of that, I got to the Queen Bitch chapter, and oh boy. I don't even remember the last time I got this angry at a video game. But Duke Nukem Forever finally managed to break that streak, however long it was, I swear to God, because this fucking boss battle. So alright, by default, the alien queen guards herself. You need to throw pipe bombs so she can expose her triple titties. And then you can shoot her. Now, any of her attacks cannot be dodged unless you're dug in deep in either corner of this platform. All the while, these little fuckers come in and start chipping away your health. Like, all of her attacks not only damage you, but also throw you to the ground, which is annoying as hell. After you do a certain amount of damage to her, these jump pads stop working, so you can't throw the bombs anymore, and she'll be in constant attack mode, and you have to dodge her undodgeable attacks and shoot rockets at her, which is so goddamn slow. And then this fucker shows up and one-shots you. One-shots you. Regardless of how much health you have, it doesn't matter. If this squid gets a hit on you, it's back to step one. Talk about dog shit game design. The previous bosses were tough, sure, but at least they didn't make me want to bash my head against the wall in frustration. So after retrying and dying so many times, I looked up a walkthrough video. And guess what? What I'm doing is what I'm supposed to do. There's no other way. There's no strat to this apart from moving really fucking fast and literally, quite literally, play this whole boss battle without making a single minuscule error. Holy fucking shit, Randall, I hope a piano falls on top of you. But after almost 10 tries, I finally did it. I played this game as an absolute expert and killed the bitch. You know I'm not a pro gamer, I play games casually, but this boss fight made me clutch every single thing I did. And the execution animation for this boss was so goddamn satisfying, I swear to God I could feel every single muscle in my body relax as I saw it. Holy shitballs. Alright, next chapter is Duke Nukem's Titty City? Oh, it's a dream sequence. Now let me stop you right there. Here's a list of things that happens in this dream chapter that adds to the overall story of the game. Nothing. Anyway, we wake up on an EDF aircraft with a soldier manning a turret. He tells us that the president says Duke attacked the aliens first, even though that's not the case, and has ordered Duke not to go to Hoover Dam. But these EDF guys were taking us there secretly or something, and of course we get shot down and end up on that Duke Burger Tower which we saw earlier.
Well, look at that. You can see my dick from here.
Where, Duke? Where is the dick? I kinda like this level though. I always had an affinity towards levels that take place on tall buildings or mountains and you can see very far in the horizon. And in this case, the city of Las Vegas didn't look half bad. Admittedly, I was hoping it would be up in flames rather than just smoke, but hey, it works I guess. Most of this level is just traversing upwards while shooting down aliens and alien eggs. There's a turret section too where I shot down a bunch of alien gunships and then I got the Devastator again and shot down an even bigger gunship. The level ends with Duke getting hold of one of these jetpack aliens and smashing its face in and then crashing into the Duke Burger restaurant. Honestly, this was kinda cool. Good job, Randy. I'll try not to maul you to death for the next 10 minutes. You know, I haven't talked about the enemies. I would love to if I could only see them, that is. There is rarely a chance where the lighting is just right enough to see what the enemies look like. Like there's normal enemies with ranged weapons, then these pig people that hurt you with melee attacks, the flying fat bastard, the flying squid, and all the little critters. And I like how some of them are basically HD versions of the Duke 3D enemies, but now there are more variants of them. I feel they all just differ enough to be a challenge, like some of the ranged enemies have laser weapons, some have hit scan weapons, and some have small rockets, so you approach them, each of them, differently with a different mindset. Like you can dodge the lasers and rockets, but not the hit scan ones obviously. So the game actually does a pretty good job at the enemy roster, but does a pretty bad job at showing the player what they look like. So anyway, we're at the Duke Burger. At first, there's not a whole lot of combat, but simple puzzle solving, a bit of pig stomping, a bit of shrinkening. Then there's this neat area where we get shrunken, but the enemies are huge, so we have to lower them to the shrinking pads and it can become a more equal fight. Now, I'll just go ahead and say that this Duke Burger chapter, or at least the middle part of it, was one of my favorite parts in the whole game. It starts off in the storage room with 2 shelves, and I like how there's jars of different sauces and there's boxes and stuff, and all the while we're playing as tiny little Dukey Nukie. We break a vent to get to another area where a woman is trapped, surrounded by electric water. Then we see rats get jibbed by rat traps, and then we're going over the icebox, jumping from one spatula to the next, smashing jars of mustard and ketchup to make way. Like, you get the idea. It's such a charming little map, and the best part about all of this is that the whole map naturally guides the player without many signposting or hand-holding elements. Like, you smash a mop to create a bridge and then fight the pigs on the other side. Like, this was truly an enjoyable chapter to play. Little charming things like avoiding the stovetops, jumping on buns to avoid the grill, and running on top of a dead guy's body to get to the next spot. I love it. But finally, we get to the fuse box and turn off the electricity, and the lady opens the door for us to proceed through. Growing back to normal size, we get to the rooftop where we engage with multiple waves of enemies one after another. It starts off nice, like you get the shrink ray and it's fun, till the ammo runs out. There was also this enforcer gun or something that shoots mini rockets, but again, it doesn't have a high max ammo count. Yeah, this part is just okay-ish. First 2 or 3 waves in is fun, but then it's just boring. I did like it when 2 flying fat bastards spawned in. That felt fun and challenging. Then an EDF aircraft picks us up and we head towards the Hoover Dam. Now, since there's a Battle Lord on top of the dam and too many aliens around the dam, we have to start from far away, which means a driving section, baby, let's go! Now, it's not Halo or Half-Life 2, but this vehicle section is above average for the most part. Like the RC car from before, this truck doesn't also handle that well, but at least it has good brakes so you can do quick turns and stuff. As for the location, I mean, it's a desert. Thankfully, they try to reduce the repetitive visuals that you might expect from a desert by adding in these cool jumps, some destroyed structures, bridges, ghost towns, and mines. As for the layout, while this does naturally play very nice and you can actually breeze through most of it, there are points where you just stop and try to figure out where the hell to go. Then you realize there's a ramp to the side and you need to jump from it to get to the next section. The chapter pads itself out by doing this out of fuel trick where the truck just randomly stops and you need to find a gas can to fill it back up. These on-foot sections are okay, nothing too special. The Ghost Town one was kinda nice, it had a lot of enemies to fight. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Duke Nukem Forever actually has a pretty decent vehicle chapter. The out-of-gas sequence at the mines was okay-ish too. I appreciate the high number of enemies placed here and not ganging up on me. There was even a mini boss fight with that big alien gunship again. But I don't like that when it starts hitting me, it just starts hitting me. I have to find cover, otherwise I'm done for. Before in the tower, I had a lot of cover, but here I had to go into the open to get more ammo, and that resulted in me getting shot. Approaching the mines, Duke makes a reference to Half-Life.
A crowbar would come in handy right about now.
That's nice, Duke. Good for you. We grab the gas can and fight with a bunch of small enemies and go out on a minecart. This was cool. So we get back in the truck, we make our merry way to the dam. Now the sky is darker and the mood is more serious. Looks like shit is about to go down. Approaching the dam, we do this cool thing where we jump off a ramp and smash our truck into an alien gunship, losing our truck in the process obviously. Then we find the president yelling at everyone, and Duke as well.
You! Damn it, Duke! Damn you! I had the Emperor eating out of my damn hand, and you blew it! All this death, all of this is your fault! You did this! You! Now I'm gonna go find him and try to repair the negotiations you ruined! I told you not to get involved!
Mr. President, we need to leave now!
I really wish I could punch him like I punched that dude in the beginning of the game. Then we find our friend Captain Dillon and start clearing out the dam. Now this was business as usual, you know? Shoot a bunch of aliens, move forward, shoot a bunch of aliens, move forward. But the game then tried to intimidate me by bringing in the Battle Lord out of nowhere like a surprise. Bitch, I have a fully loaded RPG and the Devastator. Do I look like someone who can be intimidated? Now, because I kept both of these weapons throughout my playthrough, this boss battle was a breeze to fight through. However, this time you don't just deplete his health bar and be done with it, you have to do it once, poke his eye with his horn, then do it one more time, and that's when you get to smack the alien balls with your fists. I swear to God, the janky animations to this make me laugh so hard, I love it. Then we are told to meet General Graves, who's inside the dam somewhere, so into the dam we go. This kicks off the last third of the game. These interior dam levels are something, alright. Right off the bat we get the freeze ray, which was actually pretty fun to use. It was quite satisfying to freeze an enemy and then smash them to bits with a melee attack or an execution. Unfortunately the ammo runs out pretty quickly for it too, so I was back to using normal weapons. This part here where we have to clear out all of these rooms that have all sorts of enemies was quite fun. While I did almost die, I like it when the game actually tries to be challenging, throwing different types of enemies at us. Clearing this place out, one of the dudes opens the doors for us and we head to the next area. And oh, look at this, a puzzle. At first it's fine, turn a valve, kill the alien plants, but next you have to adjust the pipes in a way that the cold air is redirected to the right place. It took me a hot minute to figure out what I was supposed to do, but even then it was just dumb luck. I didn't actually figure out how the hell I was supposed to do this. You know, I've kind of figured out what went wrong with this game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad game, but I feel like it's a victim of its contemporaries and its own legacy. DNF came out at a time when Call of Duty was all the rage, like literally on top of the world at this time. Shooters were evolving to be these cinematic linear experiences with a very decent story. I feel like they tried to modernize Duke, hence the 2 weapons only restriction, but then it tried to follow up what its own legacy had inspired, Serious Sam, Half-Life and so on. Fast-paced, arcadey gameplay, and it all went wrong when they tried to turn this game into a mix of both of these type of games. It has linear maps and slow movement like Call of Duty, but it also wants to be what it once was, a fast-paced arcadey shooter. This all resulted in DNF becoming this mess that doesn't even know what it wants to be, and I think that's just sad. So we get shrunk again and reach what I like to call one of the worst fucking places in the whole game, a platforming puzzle with a bunch of moving gears, and if you're not careful, you can fall down to your death and restart from the beginning. Jesus fucking Christ, Randy, oil up, cause you're gonna get touched tonight. I mean, it's not that difficult of a platforming puzzle, but the FOV is so fucking narrow in this game, even after turning it up to 90 in the options, it still feels like I have no fucking clue what's going on. And to top it all off, the lighting is so borked in this place that you can see half of the moving pieces beneath you. There's no way to judge what's going on and what to do. And after this catastrophe, I found myself in this area with a dead EDF soldier. I pressed the elevator button and a whole lot of ugly looking aliens started attacking me. Not gonna lie, these are irritating as hell. And once the elevator opened up, ugh. Okay, let's try that again. Motherfucker. So I again looked up videos online on how to deal with this giant bastard. Turns out you just cheese him, like this. What great gameplay. Phenomenal design, Vandal. Anyway, after getting back to normal size, we head outside to this lower part of the dam. Dealing with a bunch of annoying flying squids and pig people, we get on a turret and...
Time to redecorate in green letter gray. Take your tentacles back to Japan, you...
Yeah, parts like these in this game are absolutely horrendous. I hate this. Anyway, I drank a beer to buff my defenses and clear this part, and then a bigger squid monster arrived to mess up my day. Thankfully, it wasn't that hard to beat him. But if that wasn't enough, next we have to get on this forklift and mow down pigs with it. This would be pretty cool or funny if the forklift didn't work like total garbage and I didn't get ganged up on. So of course I had to go to plan B. And plan B is using the Devastator. Man, I love the Devastator in this. The Devastator and the Ripper were 2 of my favorite weapons in the whole game. This firefight here was pretty nice. It had enemies on the balcony and the ground level, and there were good amounts of cover too, so yeah, it was pretty challenging. Before making this video, I was reading up on Steam reviews, and surprisingly, a lot of them are positive. As someone who was indoctrinated to think that Duke Nukem Forever is the worst game ever made, this was surprising to me. But one of those positive reviews said something that's been stuck with me throughout this whole experience. A user by the name of Trash Marine wrote,
"You know how when a car crash happens, it's hard to look away because of some morbid curiosity? That's how DNF works. It's undeniably terrible, but it's kind of a spectacle."
And that is the most perfect way to sum this game up. You know, there's so much wrong in it, regardless of the actual good parts, that you can't help but play the game and look at all of it. Moving on, we meet up with General Graves.
Duke, thank God Almighty you're here. The President still hasn't issued official orders to retaliate or defend against the attack. I'd like to blame it on the Skyclad Emperor meddling with his brain. But in truth, I think the simple stress of the invasion has pushed him over the edge. He's lost all grasp on reality. That's the bad news. The good news is, our engineers believe if you can shut off all power to the dam, the portal will close for good. The EDF hasn't been able to get deep enough past the infestation, but I believe you can. America is counting on you.
America, fuck yeah!
Yeah, the president has kinda gone insane. I really wish I had the option to punch him. So in the generator room, we get to meet a crusty old dude. He uses the crane to get us across to the other side, which results in a bunch of enemies coming in and, you know, nothing too special, but then giant squid monster boss fight. On a side note, I really think these final renders, these 3D renders of the aliens look so goddamn good. Like they genuinely looked terrifying and almost reminded me of Doom 2016, which came out 5 years after this. I really wish the visuals in this game weren't so shoddy and weird and we were actually able to see what these great designs were like in game. But too bad the lighting just sucks. Also, Bombshell? Was she a Duke Nukem character originally? You know, the protagonist of Ion Fury and Phantom Fury? You know, it would have been so goddamn cool to have her as a major character in this game. She would have acted like a counterbalance to Duke. Anyway, the boss fight. Yeah, I pretty much died in my first attempt. These smaller squids along with the boss itself just simply annihilated me. In my next attempt, I did the old cheese routine where I hid behind this control cabin and shot down the smaller squids first and then did a peekaboo with the boss. But how ironic that the devs knew players would be using this cabin as a cover, so at a certain point, the boss blows it up and you can't use it anymore. So then I drank a beer to buff my defenses and let my Devastator do the rest. After killing it and, you know, its health reached 0, I thought that was it, but then it did something that scared me unironically. It came back to life and was pulling the crane towards itself. That was a nice touch to add. A boss that comes back to life after the player thinks they killed it is a really good design element. Then Duke asked me to look at his ass.
Look at my ass.
What the fuck, Duke? We aren't chill like that. The Underground chapter. This chapter has nothing at all. And by that, there's like no enemies to fight. You just walk forward into this generator room, shove a bunch of tool cabinets into the spinning generator, blow it up, move forward. Okay, there is some enemies in this chapter, but yeah, that's the whole chapter. The next chapter is an underwater chapter. I don't usually mind underwater levels, but honestly, if the game has an oxygen system, then I find them to be very infuriating. And that's the case here. And then this happens. I mean, you can restore your oxygen by standing on top of these bubbles, but doesn't this make the whole oxygen system redundant if you're gonna keep plopping in air bubbles everywhere? We also get to see the Skyclad Emperor as well, you know, the final boss of the game. A generator gets blown up, so everything's dark as shit now, and now we have to use the Duke vision to clear the next area. To give you an idea of how irritating this was for me, after I cleared this dark area, I got up to get a drink of water, and while I was going downstairs in the kitchen, my vision looked like this. That's how bad it was for my eyesight. Subscribe if you want to fund my eye recovery surgery. Next, we get into a firefight with a bunch of pigs. So one of my pipe bombs destroyed one of the lights in the corner, you know, in the hall, which I didn't know was even possible, and this turned everything dark. Now I was completely blind and got shot to shit, but I was really surprised to see this, that the lighting can be disabled like that, you know? Anyway, shooting them all down, we get to this part. Now here, you have to load barrels on this container so the backside of the crane rises, and we can use it to get up there. This whole sequence was nice. Especially since I had a lot of moving space and this weird ass machine to move around. I usually don't like fetch quests, but this was alright since most of the barrels I needed were easy to find. After finding 2 barrels, more enemies came in bursting through the locked doors, so yeah, overall, pretty good section. I even got to fight 2 flying fat bastards. Then we come to this cavernous looking area with a bunch of small spider aliens and these flying squids, which I absolutely fucking despise. Then we find our old friend Dylan, wounded, lying on a platform in the middle of the electrified water pool, which I fell into, by the way. We make our way to Dylan, where he explains,
Fucking Skyclad Emperor is here. Fucker. The power shutdown didn't work. Got ambushed. Fucking flanked me, Duke. Not enough cover from these pussies. We're gonna have to blow the whole fucking dam. Take these charges, plant the fuckers right on the dam's balls, and blow it to shit. Blow it out the Emperor's ass. Oh, fuck.
Guess he won't be in the sequel.
I hate to tell you, Duke, but there wasn't any sequel after this, so we have to adjust this platform using this control, and when we do... I hate to admit it, but I died like 5 or 6 times here. No matter what weapon I used, what strategy I tried, I always died. Then I remembered I have beer on me. Buffing my defenses would help, and it did. But imagine if I didn't have the beer, if I used it somewhere else. I can't even imagine clearing this area without it. We turn off the electricity, head down into the pool, which leads us out into the main dam area, and of course, we have to swim to each of the dam's vents, I guess to plant the bombs. Again, the swimming stuff isn't my cup of tea because of the whole oxygen thing. It kept me more annoyed than anything else. So when we're about to plant the second bomb, this worm monster comes out of nowhere, and now we're in an underwater boss fight. Thankfully, it wasn't as irritating as I thought it would be, but I imagine on higher difficulties this must be a very difficult boss battle. I'm actually very surprised that I didn't die here even after being wounded. We open up the worm, put the bomb inside it, and blast it to pieces. Next we get inside and the dam starts to leak or something, everything's falling apart. So we get to experience this stupid ass, dumbass section where you have to dodge barrels like Donkey Kong. Duke even makes a joke about it. Like, there are places to dodge the barrels, you can hide in them, but they are so offset from the barrels themselves that a lot of the time you'll be hit while trying to get into these places. One of them was even trapped to hurt me, like what the fuck? So we go through a pipe and water comes from behind us and gushes us out of there and into the dam below. An EDF soldier resuscitates us and the president's there too.
God damn you, Duke! The CIA should have dealt with you years ago. I was gonna have the whole world! The whole world! You idiot! You small-brained fool! Now I have to set things right. Me! Enact Operation Omega 96. Authorization code Zeta Alpha Tau 81. You hear that? That is the sound of your imminent death. That is the sound of me decimating my troubles, Duke Nukem. You like nukes? Well, you got one. The satellite is landing as we speak. Too bad for you that you'll still be here when it arrives. I'll be sipping margaritas while you're clawing at your own skin, hoping for a quick...
Everybody get ready!
Okay, hold on. Who looked at this and thought, yep, this is good lighting. I can't even see what the fucking thing looks like. I can only see a silhouette. But yeah guys, the Skyclad Emperor is like the easiest boss in the whole game. The only difficult part about all of this is that you have to kill the smaller enemies to get more ammunition for the rockets. You have to damage the Emperor 3 times to fully kill him. The first time you fully damage him, you pull out a pipe from his arm, then fully damage him again to pull out a pipe from his other arm. Then the general gives us a devastator for the third attempt. Fully damaging him the third time has us ripping out a pipe from his back, which results in his eye popping out. So naturally, Duke pisses in his eye socket, of course. Now before this asshole died, he ordered a nuke to hit the dam, so the general comes in and saves us, and just look at this whole thing.
Getting out of here!
Why is Duke and the general so static? Like fucking statues. So yeah, they show that Duke died, but he says he's coming back.
What kind of shit ending is that? I ain't dead. I'm coming back for more.
Alright, Duke. But then, after the credit, this cutscene plays.
Duke, now that the aliens are dead and you've saved the world once again, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna run for president. Hail to the king, baby.
So yeah, he'll become the 69th President of America, and that's the end of the game. Of course, there's a DLC called The Doctor Who Cloned Me, which literally starts from this press conference, but that's not part of today's video. But I mean, I had fun making this video, so if you liked this one, let me know in the comments and like the video, and I'll make a video about the DLC too. I heard it's pretty good, so yeah, would give me a chance to make something else apart from Half-Life, you know. But yeah, Duke Nukem Forever certainly is a car crash of a spectacle. I feel like its negative reputation stems from its overtly long development cycle. I mean, 14 years is a lot of time to be waiting for a game. That waiting is what made this game dead on arrival. Would it have been better if in the late 90s or early 2000s this game came out? Of course, but you still can't say that judging from those early trailers that those versions were much better instead. Yes, maybe visually, but who can say that those versions didn't have the same gameplay issues as the retail 2011 one? Anyway, my final verdict is that Duke Nukem Forever is a good game. There, I said it. It's not a masterpiece, and certainly not the abomination everyone made it out to be back in 2011. It definitely is rough around the edges, especially in its gameplay. Where Duke 3D was fast-paced, well-balanced, and had huge maps to play, DNF instead went the route of its 2011 contemporaries, opting for a slower gameplay, very linear maps, and very ill-balanced gameplay. And of course, we can't forget the heavy tone mapping that every game wanted to have in the late 2000s. Even with that said, I still enjoyed its campaign. It had some great moments, great voice acting by John St. John as usual, even some jokes were unironically very funny, and even some great levels like that Duke Burger part. But in the end, it was destined to fail. That's just how the wind blows. The longer a studio takes to create a very anticipated game, the standard of judgment becomes equally and unrealistically high. If the 2001 version of this game had come out with the faulty gameplay or visuals, it wouldn't have been burned at the cross like the 2011 version did. Would I play this again? No, not really. I'd rather try it again with the Duke Nukem Forever Enhanced mod, which aims to fix the gameplay of the game and remove the Vaseline smeared blur while adding in new post-processing effects and stuff like that. That looks interesting. And speaking of mods, the 2001 version got leaked and now there's a major project in the making about restoring that version of the game to full. That might be something interesting to talk about in a year or two. But yeah, that was Duke Nukem Forever, baby. Yeah, I'm garbage at the Duke voice, sorry. Thanks for watching, and a big thanks to these benefactors for supporting the channel. Taylor, Mistress Paban, HPR, Hobgobbies, Unusual, Wooflo, Scooms, Aoi, Nicholas Go, Imperial Embers, T-Boy301, Tombstone, Jack5282, Taiwanesium, Quiltman, 501st Clone Boy, Interloper CS, TTG, Robocop, Noel, Franco Senlehi, Justin Immergriff, Tedasaur, Otakan Nachos, Lamdre, Roadkill, Walter, NoClick, Geote, Fisher Grice, Arkasult, Jelen, A Normal Street Lamp, TRR Droid, and Bipolit. And I hope you enjoyed this video because this is very different from the usual Half-Life mods and games that I cover. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this, and it'll motivate me to cover more games like these, you know, like Duke Nukem Forever and so on. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.